1. And like my other classes, I get like 4 or 5.
Who's watching the live stream?
All right, folks. So it is February the 11th, and today we're going to talk about Articles 2 and 3 of the U.S. Constitution. And so, just as a heads up, since we're not doing notes, we're not doing slides or anything like that, your next test is going to be over the stuff we go over on the Constitution. So pay attention. Pay attention, right? So whenever we go over a Constitution, I expect you to, maybe you might have to go back and read summaries. You don't have to go back and read the whole, like this document again. It's just a pamphlet. Come on. I mean, it's not that long.
Well, it's hard to understand.
It is, but that's why you can go back and read summaries. Now today, just like last time, I'm going to partner y'all up, and we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. Wow, and they certainly aren't equal. But that's just what we do. All right, so if you would please, you can go ahead and grab a partner. I'll let y'all pick. So if you want to maybe, if you don't want to maybe, whatever. All right. So be super special friends.
How much is the groups? How many groups?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2. But you shall be randomly assigned one of the sections.
Wow.
Some sections are a sentence. Some sections are several paragraphs. So, you know. All right, so does everybody have a partner? If you don't have a partner, you can link up with whoever does not have a partner.
Why did people do the transaction?
Well, here's how it's going to work. You're going to get together and we give you about 5 minutes, and you're going to do research if you need to be able to explain to the class what does your section mean. That's it. This is part of what we call gradual release, right? The beginning of the school year, I did most of the talk and the lecturing, and now I talked about it a little bit, but I'm having you do the rest of it. Later, y'all are going to do everything, and I'm just going to sit back and watch you act as the master instructor.
So they should pay us, is that right?
They are paying you in like confinement. So enjoy your confinement. That is your pay. What can I say? School's actually kind of built around 2 things. It's built based on the prison and the industrial model. It's supposed to make you into compliant little worker bees. Don't worry, you can thank the ancestors of a long ago about that. Yes.
What are the groups that are discussed?
The sections.
Yeah, but it's
Oh, hey, I'll tell you what. Andrew, who are you with? Yeah, you are. Okay, so, all right. I'm thinking of a super secret magical number between 1 and 10. What number is it? 4? What number is it? 1. Okay, they got it. So we're going to start on this
I
end.
knew it.
So,
I'm good at those.
So that's good. Y'all get it.
He asked me how much was in his bank account. I said 324. It was 321.
That's great.
So you were wrong.
So,
Like 3 cents.
You were wrong.
all right, I'm going to go ahead and assign you your groups that are your things. So, all right, so y'all got
Dollars.
Article 2, Section 1.
We
So,
have Article 2, Section 1.
yeah, the big one.
Here we go, Mark.
All right, so you 2 fellas got Section 2.
Yeah.
All right, starting in the back again.
What?
You 2 folks got Section 3. Oh, man, that stinks. You guys got
Wait,
Section
since
4
we win,
here.
can we choose what section we're in?
Sorry. All right, starting in the back again. Y'all have Article 3, Section 1.
No, Mark.
Y'all got Section 2. Oh, I didn't pause it. There we go. And last but not least, y'all got Article 3, Section 3.
Sir, did we get Article 2 or Article 2?
Article 2, Section 3. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes, and then y'all are going to come up and educate us. If you need to Google summaries, do it to help you. You already read it, but I understand sometimes you need help. Everybody uses search engines, everybody, in every job, everywhere. So call this career readiness. No. Of course, we will start with Article 2, Section 1 first.
I should have looked at the how do you? Who's he? Sir. Sir. Section 2, Article 3. Who's he? The entire thing, it just refers to him as.
Probably the president.
The president. Article 2 is all about the president. That's what I told you. Article 2 is the presidency. Article 3 is the Supreme Court, the judiciary, the federal judiciary. But yeah, after we talk about this, I'll post our next assignment. But it's going to be due next Thursday.
All right. He's in charge of all the statement issues. He has a part of.
So basically,
Yes.
And then he can put people in different positions.
making sure.
But. Hey, Mr. Warner, so why don't we have like statement issues?
There are. They're just rare nowadays. I think a lot of the reason why is because they have a bad reputation these days. And you can think,
Like Blackwater?
no, not Blackwater. It's more like from the 90s. You had the FBI in ATF really crack down hard on certain militias for breaking like certain gun laws and stuff like that. And so they were seen as really radical and stuff like that.
See, but my thing is like with gun laws, it's like the founding fathers like relationships just
Well,
and I'm not saying like, oh, we should have access to nukes, but I'm saying we should have access to like missiles.
I understand.
I'm calling radical for that, but that's just like. Well, I mean, it's in my opinion, that's reasonable.
Well,
I mean, obviously, like you can't just be some dude out in the sticks with a bunch of missiles, right?
not
So I guess
unless you had a lot of cash.
in that sense, there should be some regulations, but like
Pretty
I feel like
rarely.
it's too crazy nowadays.
Pretty rarely private citizens could have like a cannon back in the day or something. I mean, but I don't know. There's always a way around these things, and that way is money. And so back then, if somebody was going to have something that was considered like heavy artillery, it's because they had too much money. The same now, if you were going to have something like an NFA item, like full automatic, like belt-fed machine guns, because you got stupid amounts of money and you can afford all that.
Well, isn't the reason why guns are so expensive is because they were artificially pumped up by the government or something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things need tax stamps, and some of them are also certain industries regulated. Like there's a lot of firearms that you can't get because the manufacturer chooses not to sell to civilians. Especially a lot of them are European manufacturers, and they don't like the idea of civilians having, like HK doesn't, and FN doesn't. So a lot of them don't like the idea of civilians having their hands on a lot of these things. So it's industry
Something should be able to
standard
have
too.
automatic weapons.
Well, you can make the argument, but I mean, you'd have to make the argument before a judge and all that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have to do the background check and pay the $200 tax stamp.
True, but I feel like the whole thing with judges is like they're already in the swamp creatures, or they're just easy to pay.
Are you saying people who want power are corruptible? Huh. That's strange. Never heard that argument before.
Who knows? Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
Oh my goodness. Well, I saw today with judge license plates turned that it turns signal. So, I saw it just yesterday. So, to get away with stuff. All right. Hey, yes.
A little bit confused about the term corruption of blood or temperature.
Okay. Like I was telling Antonio, let's see. All right, so corruption of blood is an old English legal term that had to do with, like, if you had corruption of blood, you could lose your title of nobility in England. So you're no longer, say, like a knight. Like, no longer would you be Sir Timothy. You'd be Timothy Popper. You know. Yes. Attainder is a term for, like, when they just, like, they take all your stuff. You can't sell it. You can't set it up for inheritance or anything like that. They're gonna, like, if you got land, they're gonna take your land. You got a bank, they're gonna take your bank. You got a Rolls Royce, they're gonna take your Rolls Royce. So they're saying that, but it's saying or forfeiture except during the life of the person. So they can't, like, go like, hey, a couple of generations ago, your grandfather committed treason. We're pretty sure of that. So we're going to take all this property he left for you. No, I can't do that. So, which is good. You don't want to punish that. What this shows is that the founders intended, we don't punish people generations later for something their ancestors did.
Or
That's
do
what it is.
we? Or do
Or
we?
do we?
But we see the president. So,
Or do we?
hey, in any case, super friends, let's go up. Woo, man. So
Yeah, I really had to take the floor, didn't I?
you did. But hey,
Almost like,
can you come and educate us on Article 2, Section 1, like the twos of use? Thank you. That would be so super awesome.
Come up there.
Well, you can do it from the back if you want to. It's fine. Hey, kids and young adults, if y'all could please pay attention.
Article 2, Section 1.
1 second, Elizabeth. We still got a conversation going on over here. Hey, this is for you. This is for you. They're the experts. You're the recipients of their knowledge. So,
Time for education. This is about how the president and the vice president will serve the same term together for 4 years.
And it details like how it's done, like it goes into a lot of detail, like this is how this will be done, this is how this will be done.
Well, it just describes like the electoral college.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really long, piece. It's like, yeah, so it's gonna have all these different representatives and all these different electors.
and some of it will change through the amendment process.
Yeah, like a lot of this isn't how it works.
That's true. That's true.
And then it says that the president has to be a natural born citizen, must be 35, and at least 14 years has to be a U.S. resident to be eligible. And then the president, I think it said, is going to get paid the same compensation all 4 years.
Can't give himself a pay raise in the middle of it. Like, hey guys, I really worked hard. Yeah.
And then before he's elected for president, he has to make an oath.
Yes, an oath to uphold.
Upon the Bible.
Yeah, the Constitution. You know what? Our armed forces have to take a similar oath. They don't take an oath to protect the country, the president, Congress. They take an oath to protect the Constitution. Because if you protect the Constitution, you'll protect all the rest, including the amendments like the Bill of Rights. So if you take that oath, you're also taking an oath to protect the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, Fifth, all that. So, and an oath is supposed to be an unbreachable pact with a higher power. It's higher than a promise. You take an oath when you take a marriage vow, in a sense. So, hey, very good, super friends. See, y'all are smart. Y'all are smart. And some of your smartness rubbed off on us. And I hope it didn't leave a rash. Let's go to Section 2.
oh yeah, that's us. Basically, let me read it. Section 2 talks about how the commander-in-chief, that being the president, is in charge of the Army and Navy, now also the Air Force and the Marines, as well as all state militias. He's in control of them. he can give certain powers and responsibilities to different officers and stuff like that, people who are in charge. It also talks about how he can pardon people from certain crimes against America, except for like impeachment. He can't pardon people from being impeached. He also can appoint different people in different positions of power in the Senate, I believe.
Mhm.
And
What
did I read that?
were you talking about his cabinet? Like they're saying we know he needs advisors. We just don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
Like Secretary of State and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. And then that's it, I think.
Hey, sweet, yeah. And the president does have the power to give somebody pardon, but it has to be for federal law. So if it's a state offense, or even if it's a municipal offense, like your town's local jaywalking while like texting or using Pokemon Go or whatever, like he can't nullify that one, right?
Yeah.
He can't. Yeah. So if you're in jail for a state crime, you're just going to stay there. The president can't fix it.
Yeah, that's what they meant when they were talking about like crimes against America, right?
Yes,
Federal-
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like governors, however, have power to do that, the pardon for state laws. So, all right, very good job. All right, let's go to one of the harder ones, Section 3.
Alright, so what I could gather, it was
Okay.
about like the needs of the president, kind of like he would talk to Congress and he'd like, hey, so this is what's happening with the union, give them advice over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'd also respect time of adjournment, whatever that means. He'd like make the laws and make sure they were upheld pretty well, and he paid our police officers for that.
What about with other nations? Like, what does this point out that his powers are, or hers, or whatever? With other nations? He's like, look here, shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. So that means he's our chief diplomat. The president is the one who's the face of our nation talking to other nations, right? So, and they can also appoint ambassadors and stuff like that. So the president is the super ambassador. So we're not supposed to send up like senators or Congress people. That's not their job. Their job's lawmaking, not diplomacy. So, okay. But yeah, a lot of procedural stuff there in that short paragraph. Very good. Section 4.
Alright, so this one is basically just saying that this will include the president, the vice president, and any and all civil officers.
Mhm.
If you commit treason, you take a bribe, or any other like high stakes crime,
Mm-hmm.
you're out of there. You're gone.
Yeah, and that's
And
what
you-
makes
you
it.
You can't save yourself. You can't like nullify it. You're gone.
Yeah, and that's like a blanket clause there that has led to a lot of confusion. Other high crimes and misdemeanors. I was like, what does that mean? I guess just anything,
So,
really.
wait,
So, yeah.
If it says misdemeanor, that doesn't that mean people can argue that he can get thrown out of office for
For
things?
smaller crimes, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, but as we're going to see later on when we read about the impeachment process, we're going to see like to finally remove him, you need like 2/3 of the Senate. That's hard to do. For that final impeachment push after it goes through the House. So, and we will analyze the text of that again later because guess what? There's currently an impeachment trial going on again. So it would behoove us to read up on that a bit more, perhaps next week. Of course, we did read up on it a bit when we read Article 1. All right, so Article 3, Section 1. Let's go, guys.
So this talks about the judicial branch of the U.S. and all the power rests on the one Supreme Court. There can only be one. And all the smaller courts don't have the same amount of power that the Supreme Court has.
Mhm.
And it also says that the judges of all the courts can only stay in their offices while they have good behavior, so they can't do anything wrong.
Mhm.
And while they're in office, they get compensation for that.
Yeah, they get compensation at specific times, and they can't diminish the compensation while they're still in office.
Does it say how many justices they're supposed to have? No. They're going to have to figure that out later. That's going to be one of the first things that Congress is going to have to figure out after the U.S. is formed. Like, okay, there's supposed to be a court system. What are we going to do about it? The Judiciary Act. All right, Section 2, you two.
Pretty much, like the judicial branch, it's where whoever it is, whether it be a foreign consulate, or it be your regular Joe Schmo from Alabama, everyone has a right to trial and jury, except during an impeachment trial, which is only allowed the trial instead of the jury.
Yeah. So, like, essentially, what you have is that either Congress or the Senate acts as the jurors in a sense. Yeah. So, okay, cool. But hey, like, doesn't this also talk about what other kind of things they'll see over, like cross-state controversies? They can also have to do with foreign citizens, things like that. So there's a lot to this. Like, the Supreme Court has power over.
It's like trying to pretty much say, this is what you can judge.
Yeah. Yes. But we'll also see later with Marbury versus Madison, they're going to give themselves the power to judge whether or not something's constitutional or not as well. So it's not just the highest court you can go to for like the big bodies of government and the states and things like that, but it's also going to be the litmus test for whether a law is actually a law or not. But we'll get to that later. All right, Section 3. Let's go, guys.
Pass.
No nullification here, sir.
It's under here that treason against us is waging war, joining the enemy's side, and aiding known enemies. And no one may be convicted unless two people have proof of the act or confess in open court as testimony. Congress has power to declare punishment of treason, and if you are convicted, they cannot seize property or lose titles unless given life in prison.
No, they can do it, but you can only do it while they're alive. That's why I was saying you can't punish future generations. You see a lot of stuff here that's biblical. You need the testimony of 2 witnesses. You may not punish the child for his father's crimes. His sins don't pass down generation after generation.
But
Yes.
like, isn't the only other punishment death?
Well, yeah, usually treason is punishable by death.
It's like I read it as like unless given life in prison, so they can lose it if they get life in prison, but if they die.
You could have your loss of property before your sentence, before your death sentence or execution, right? So you can have it all happen. But what the point of that part is that once you're gone, we're not going to come back and tack on more, which goes hand in hand with something we're going to see later on with the Bill of Rights that's coming later called double jeopardy. Because double jeopardy, you can't be convicted for the same crime twice if you've already been found innocent the first time. Even if more evidence comes out, even if you're like OJ and you write a book that later on says, I didn't do it, but if I did, this is how I would have done it, So just saying. Hey, good job, though. Good job. Hey, folks, that's going to end it for today. So I'm going to post the second part of Common Sense assignment. First part's due today, so you might want to do that. We'll come back on Tuesday, and we'll talk more about the Constitution. See you later, kids. Make sure you read that thing, because your next test is going to be over it. But I'm not putting down notes for you. You got to read it.